What if the most powerful government on earth had no army, no borders, and wasn't elected by anyone? Imagine a place where the world's most influential billionaires, tech titans, and political leaders gather once a year. Not to campaign for your vote, but to decide your future in private. Every January, this happens in a small, snow-covered town in the Swiss Alps called Davos. They tell us they're there to solve the world's biggest problems: climate change, inequality, and disease. But a growing number of people believe they're not there to solve problems. They're there to create a new world order, one that serves their interests, not yours. The story they sell is one of progress and unity. The story that's been uncovered is far more sinister. This gathering is the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, or WEF. And to understand what it's truly about, you have to look past the smiling photo ops and straight at the man who started it all. His name is Klaus Schwab. In 1971, he was a German engineer with a seemingly modest idea: bring European business leaders together to talk about modern management. But Schwab's vision was always grander. He wasn't just building a conference, he was building a platform for a new kind of global governance. As decades passed, his influence grew, but so did the questions surrounding him. Whispers and research from online investigators began to point to the shadows of his family's past, with debated connections to Germany's darkest historical chapter. While the full extent of these ties is contested, they fuel a deep suspicion about the ideological roots of his globalist vision. Schwab himself laid out his plans in plain sight, publishing books like The Fourth Industrial Revolution and COVID-19, The Great Reset. These weren't just academic texts. They were blueprints for a future where technology and humanity would merge, and where traditional ideas of democracy and national sovereignty would become obsolete. He envisioned a world managed by a coalition of corporate and state leaders, a hand-picked group of elites who knew what was best for everyone else. And one of his proposals contained a phrase that would accidentally expose the WF's true ambitions to the entire world. After the world was shaken by the pandemic in 2020, the WF saw its opportunity. They launched their most ambitious initiative yet, calling it the Great Reset. The official narrative was utopian, a chance to rebuild our global society to be fairer, greener, and more resilient. It sounded wonderful, a hopeful vision for a world in crisis. But then people started digging. They found a promotional video released by the WEF just a few years earlier, in 2016, which laid out 8 predictions for the world in 2030. The very first prediction was a chilling one. You will own nothing, and you'll be happy. The line was so shocking, so direct, that it became a global rallying cry for those who feared the WF's agenda. Critics argued this wasn't a prediction, it was a declaration of intent, a plan to eliminate private property for the masses, forcing them into a permanent rental economy where everything, your home, your car, your possessions, is owned by corporations and a global elite. You would be dependent on them for everything you need to survive. The WEF tried to walk it back, claiming it was just an essay meant to spark discussion. But the mask had slipped. For millions, the Great Reset was now unmasked as a plan for the greatest transfer of wealth in human history, disguised as social progress. But controlling your property was just the beginning. The plans for what you eat are even more unsettling. As the Davos elite gather each year, they dine on gourmet meals, sipping champagne, and enjoying the finest foods the world has to offer. At the same time, their organization has been aggressively promoting a very different menu for the rest of us. The WEF has published numerous articles and funded studies advocating for the global population to shift away from traditional protein sources like meat and dairy and instead embrace insects. They argue that crickets, mealworms, and other bugs are a sustainable and nutritious alternative that will help save the planet. On the surface, it's presented as a sensible solution to climate change. But the glaring hypocrisy has turned it into a symbol of elite detachment. The message is clear. The rules they design are for you, not for them. While you're being told to get ready for cricket protein bars and mealworm burgers, they will continue to fly in on their private jets to feast on steak and lobster. This isn't just about food, It's about a new kind of social hierarchy, where the masses are expected to sacrifice their quality of life in the name of a collective good, defined by the very people who refuse to make any sacrifices themselves. And this new diet is designed to be tracked and controlled through a system that could monitor every aspect of your life. To implement a global reset of property and consumption, you need a system to manage it. The WEF has the answer for that too, a universal digital identity. They promote it as a tool for progress, a way to provide legal identification to the billion people who lack it, unlocking access to healthcare, education, and finance. It sounds noble, but critics see a digital leash in the making. A centralized digital ID could link all of your personal information together, your bank accounts, your health records, your social media activity, your travel history, and even your vaccination status. In a world with a digital ID, every transaction you make, every post you like, and every place you go could be tracked, monitored, and stored in a central database. This system could easily be paired with another idea gaining traction in elite circles: central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. Unlike cash, a CBDC could be programmed. The government or central bank could put restrictions on what you're allowed to buy. They could shut off your funds if you voice dissent or participate in a protest. In China, a similar system is already being used to create a social credit score, where citizens are rewarded for compliant behavior and punished for stepping out of line. The WEFRS push for a digital ID is seen by many as the final piece of the puzzle, the technological infrastructure needed to build a global system of unprecedented surveillance and control. But how do you get world leaders to implement such a radical system? Simple. You train them yourself. One of the most powerful and least known arms of the World Economic Forum is its Young Global Leaders program. Each year, the WEF hand selects promising individuals under 40 from politics, business, media, and technology, and invites them into an exclusive network. Klaus Schwab has openly boasted about this, proudly stating how the program penetrates the cabinets of governments around the world. The list of graduates is a stunning collection of some of the most powerful figures today. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, French President Emmanuel Macron, former New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, and California Governor Gavin Newsom are all alumni. Critics point to a disturbing pattern. When these leaders face domestic crises, they often implement policies that align perfectly with the WEFMS agenda, from carbon taxes to digital ID frameworks and strict lockdown measures. The allegation is that the Young Global Leaders program isn't just a networking opportunity, it's an indoctrination camp. It creates a global cabal of leaders whose loyalty is not to their own citizens or their national constitutions, but to the internationalist vision of Klaus Schwab. They speak the same language, share the same goals, and work in lockstep to build the future envisioned in Davos, whether their people want it or not. With their graduates in place, the WEF's public message became louder and more urgent, especially on one particular topic. A topic that would reveal their most stunning hypocrisy yet. There is no issue more central to the WEFAS public image than the fight against climate change. At every Davos meeting, speaker after speaker takes the stage to warn of a looming climate catastrophe and demand radical action. They call for higher carbon taxes, restrictions on travel, and a dramatic reduction in the standard of living for ordinary people to save the planet. Their commitment sounds absolute, but their actions tell a very different story. To attend this summit on saving the environment, the global elite overwhelmingly arrive on the most carbon-intensive form of transportation ever created, the private jet. In 2023, a report revealed that over 1,000 private jets flew in and out of airports near Davos during the week of the summit, a number that had doubled over the previous year. The carbon emissions from those flights in a single week were equivalent to what 350,000 average cars produce in the same period. This is the Davos paradox, an event where billionaires lecture the world on reducing their carbon footprint after arriving in a manner that produces more pollution in a few hours than most people do in an entire year. It is the ultimate symbol of their belief that they are above the rules they create for everyone else. It's a message of pure hypocrisy, broadcast to the world from a runway packed with Gulfstream and bombardier jets, and it has shattered any illusion that they are acting in good faith. So, what is the World Economic Forum? Is it a benevolent think tank dedicated to solving humanity's problems? Or is it the headquarters of a coordinated effort to establish a new form of global control? The evidence is deeply troubling. We have a founder with a grand vision of a managed global future. We have an open declaration of a great reset that promises a future where you own nothing. We have a push for a diet of bugs for the masses and a digital identity system that could track your every move. And we have a network of young global leaders who seem to be implementing this agenda from the highest offices of power. All of this is sold under the banner of saving the planet by an elite who travel by private jet. The WF claims it's just a platform for dialogue, but its ideas are no longer just ideas. They are becoming policies. They are shaping your world. The final question is not what they are planning, but whether we will accept it. Is this an invitation to a better, more organized future? Or is it a warning about a coming age where democracy is a memory? And your life is managed by an unelected, unaccountable elite who believe they know what's best for you. The answer will define the future of freedom itself.